in Spanish.
Buenas tardes.
I'd just like to acknowledge and honor the indigenous tribes, the plants, the trees, the animals of Colombia. This is why you have the most diverse country in the world. For me, they have all the answers. I know if you're here today, you've come looking for answers. You want greener cities. You want a healthier environment. My perception after being in Colombia is the answers are already here. You already know the answers. Your indigenous cultures synchronized with nature. They embrace nature. They brought nature into their tribes. They have great respect for the plants, the trees, the animals. This is all we need to do today. Just a little bit about me. I can only relate to you with my story. I'm nothing more special than anyone in this room. In 2008, I'm working in our landscape architecture office in Sydney. The city came to us and said we need green roof guidelines written. Everyone looked at me because I was in the research and development section of the company. And I ended up doing it. I spent 8 months looking into all the green roof policies around the world. And we did them. They weren't so great, but that's how I got involved in green roofs and living walls. I started working for the City of Sydney and got involved in Green Roofs Australasia, which is the peak body in Australia to promote, advocate. Then I got involved in Mexico with the WIGN, World Green Infrastructure Network, and a few years ago I took on vice presidency. So what that means is that we travel each year, and especially to countries that are developing, like Colombia, like Mexico, and we come to really advocate, promote, and enlighten, to stimulate, the people like you in this room who want a better city, who want greener cities, who want a better environment. So it really comes back to what you want. What do you want for Colombia? What do you want for Bogota? You want this? Because this is the legacy we've been left. This is our inheritance from the 19th and the 20th century. This is what we've been left. Do you want that for Colombia? Or do you want this? Do you want solar power? Do you want tidal turbines? Do you want green streets? Do you want urban agriculture? Do you want green roofs? Do you want living walls? Do you want biophilic design? Because the choice is really ours, and it's about us. It's what we can do. It's not what the environment can do for us, it's what we can do for the environment. What do you want this? Los Angeles. Car dependent, no public transport. It's basically a huge concrete car park. What do you want this? I mean, the architecture, amazing. But when I look at this image, I see the pollution. Look at the air. What do you want to breathe? It's our choice. What do you want this? Because the technology is available. I can stand here and tell you the facts and the figures and show you the pretty pictures, but I think the one thing that I would leave with you is that it is possible. The technology is available. It's just the policy that is creating this, the paradigm that's been set up in the 19th and the 20th century, still exists. We need to shift the paradigm. We need to change. And it's only going to change if you do something about it. If we do something about it. Or do we want this? I mean, in Australia, coal was dead in the water. There was going to be no more coal because the price had dropped, mines were closed. Then all of a sudden they've gone, Japan need coal. There's a huge project in Japan. We need lots of coal. The price goes up. All of a sudden, the coal mines are open again. So it's the governments, the money, the industry. It keeps it going. It keeps it alive. Or do we want this? This is Vancouver. We won Building of the Year in 2011. It's the Vancouver Convention Centre, 4 acres of green roof. It connects with where's my pointer? Connects with a beautiful strip around to the headland here. There's a walkway, cycle paths. Do we want this for Colombia? Do we want this for Bogota? We're now entering, and the jury's not out in this, but I believe it, we're entering the Anthropocene era of epic, which is where our activity is impacting on the Earth's geology and the ecosystem. The human species is impacting on the environment. We have created climate variability. I mean, that is so significant. We're the first species to actually impact on nature. We're having an effect on nature. We're changing the climate. There's going to be more rainfall, higher temperatures, and more intense weather patterns. And we're doing this. We've done it. And it's because we have a paradigm that was set in the 19th and the 20th century, the Industrial Revolution. Steel, concrete, high-rise, freeways, cars, pollution. It was okay. It just ran, and now we're left with it today. So what do? We need you. We need you, if you're in this room, we need you to work collaboratively, which is how the best projects on the planet are being realized. Architects, landscape architects, ecologists, horticulturalists, landscapers, all working together from the beginning of the project, from the planning stages, all the way to the end, through maintenance. They're working as a team. It's a new way of working. And I'm authorized to make every one of you in this room a green warrior. So who, here, can you come in here?
We are green warriors. Nosotros somos guerreros verdes.
What are you? I want to hear you. I want to hear you in Spanish. What are you? One more time. You're officially now green warriors. Because that's what happened to me. I came to a conference, I was inspired, and I thought, this is easy. This is going to be so easy, because it's so easy to sell. Beautiful green roofs, food on the roof, living walls, biophilia. Improves your well-being, improves your psychology, improves your concentration by 15%. If you work in a green environment, you can concentrate longer, less sick days. I thought it would be so easy. It's not so easy. There are many challenges. So what do we have to do as green warriors? We have to disseminate the information. The information you get today, you take it out. You talk to the people that you work with. Talk to those engineers who are putting roads from A to B. You get them to put in infiltration pits. You get them to put in swales. You get them to put in landscaping. It has to work with grey infrastructure. Green infrastructure has to work with the grey. The grey is what we've been left with from the 20th century. Now we have to incorporate green. That's the simplicity of green infrastructure. We have to educate. So this is what this conference is about. Education, dissemination of information, demonstration. We have the roofs on top here. We have tours. We need more demonstration. We need more research. And so all we really need is one school, one building, one urban farm, one rain garden, one green roof, one living wall, one conference, one champion. Someone in this room can be a champion to carry the message and impact on somebody else. My friend Mark Paul, recycled plastic bottle, cut it in half, turn it upside down, put in some koi, some soil, put in a plant, put another one on top, stack, 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 5 meters high in many rows. We did this at the school. We taught the children how to do it in one day. We built a green wall that was 30 meters by 5 meters with 20 school children. Now this is a program in Australia going through schools using recycled bottles. The children love it. They learn about ecology. Mark's a champion. I was honoured to work with him. So the challenges. Nature's under attack. Like I said, this is the Anthropocene epoch we're entering. Nature's under attack. Why? We have urban sprawl, rapid expansion, ecosystem pollution, pollution increases, the population is going crazy, food shortages in the world, global emissions, government policy is behind technology, it needs to change quicker. We have species extinction, politicians that I won't even talk about, mining, forest clearing. I mean, we're under attack. I'm not being negative, so this is the positive. These are our tools. These are the applications that we can put into our cities. You've heard the speakers today talk about green infrastructure, green roofs, living walls, water-sensitive urban design, green streets, urban agriculture, integrated stormwater management. These are our tools. Living architecture, just some quick photos. I know Patrick's here, he knows very well this building. This is the one building, Sydney. It was incredible for Sydney. It's now promoted other buildings like it in Australia. Highest green wall in the world. We have apartments in Australia now. This is a green roof in inner city. People take their dogs there, they go up and relax, they read. It's in a heat sink area, a very semi-industrial area. There was nowhere for people in the apartment to actually go with their pets or to get some green respite. The real estate on this property has doubled since they built it. This is a project that I consulted on in a city, which is a 45-degree residential, 3 terraces together. This end terrace just sold for $2.4 million. Why? Because it's covered in green. People want green. We need to supply it. Another application, urban forests. The parks that we have in our cities are like gold. We need to keep those parks because the developers want them. We have population expansion. They want those parks to become. We need to turn them into urban forests. We've developed this plant identification, publicly available, where every tree, species, height, age is available to the public to look and go and visit. They can sponsor, they can have a tree planted. Green streets, we're developing green streets. Green streets make the pavements cooler. If you see a thermal image, you'll see that around the tree it's 32 degrees Celsius. On the hot pavement, which is like a hot plate on a stove, it's 50 degrees. So we're planting many trees, many canopy trees through the streets. So we're having green streets. We're improving structural soil so that these trees grow well, the plants grow well. We're using permeable road surfaces so that we get the water going back into deep soil, and we're not just funneling it into pipes that will eventually befall and cause urban flooding. We're creating swales and rain gardens to filter water, create more plants, which is all absorbing heat. Australia is probably the leading nation in the world at water-sensitive urban design, which is basically to recharge groundwater. We believe that having a healthy water table under the cities, if you consider this a city here, this huge white underneath, there's water. There's all water. If the city is not letting the water through, it becomes stale, stagnant. We need to recharge that. We can't just collect all the water from a city and put it into the ocean. We need to let it filter through the soil. Commercial urban agriculture, you heard Ben talk before. A friend of mine went, saw Ben's farm in the Grange in Brooklyn. He was inspired. He became a green warrior, came back to Australia. He did the same thing, 2 acres of urban agriculture. A restaurant's been set up, the people get fed straight from the food produced before them. It's become very popular. Community gardens through the streets. People in Melbourne can go down and rent a little plot. They can grow their vegetables if they live in an apartment, come down, spend some recreational time, take the food back to their apartment. So how do we go from green to grey? In Sydney, we're redeveloping. We've developed so much that we've hit our expanse. We can't go any further. So now we're coming back to redevelop. So during the redevelopment process, we advocate to government to change the paradigm for what they would normally do, which is putting up concrete buildings, concrete roofs, no vegetation, concrete freeways, concrete pavements. We're advocating for all the green infrastructure applications to be put into place. So, for example, I'm using Sydney. Sydney developed around the ports. All the cities in Australia are on the coast, so they were developed around ports. So the infrastructure was built around ports, train lines coming in, warehouses, shipping, docks. Can you see anywhere that the public could actually go down next to a harbour and experience, have some relaxation time, maybe do some fishing, have a picnic? No, not possible. This is the Industrial Revolution. This is what we inherited. So what we're doing, we're trying to change it. This is Sydney 5 years ago. Here, massive dock, 8 hectares, concrete. See here? This was the natural headland that used to come around here. So what happened? With public support, we got this. That concrete dock is now gone. That headland has now been rebuilt. This is all landscape terracing with a green roof on top. All the services are underneath, car parking, restaurants. But the priority was that this was a park, connected to another park with a cove, fishing. This is the Sydney Harbour Bridge, Opera House here, Pacific Ocean. So the areas around the harbour, which were always for importing goods, storing, transport, etc., now we're investing in our parks. This is Barangaroo. This is connected to 50 kilometres for bikes and walking around the harbour. It goes from each development. So we have access, connectivity, and amenity. This is right next to the CBD, so people working in the city can come down and enjoy the harbour, the views, the biophilia. They can jog, they can exercise, they can go back to work. Next point, Ballast Point Park used to be an oil storage area. We're adapting these areas, turning them back into landscaped areas, adapting and reusing the existing spaces and the materials. But we're adding the landscape architecture elements, so we're making them beautiful spaces. We're using renewable energy, wind turbines, solar, to power these areas for the public to come and use as an amenity space. This is how it used to be at Pyramar Park, which is quite close to the Harbour Bridge, which basically is bitumen and concrete that was used in the 20th century. Now they're being turned into sustainable recreational areas with rain gardens, swales, childcare facilities for playing, open green spaces, fishing here, little swimming pool here. So the suburb around these point parks now have access. This is another picture of that area. So when I first started consulting with City of Sydney, they came up with Green Global Connected, and that's what they wanted to do. By 2030, we want to be the greenest city in the world. We have a very progressive Green Warrior champion, as our mayor, similar to what Chicago had.